Can everyone hear us without it being painful? Okay, good. That was a joy. Thank you very much. I think you have Peep Show fans in the audience, so safe crowd. But it's bittersweet because it was completely lovely, but also there's only 5 to go, and it's kind of also very sad. How do you feel coming to the end of this? Don't say happy. They'll boo you.
It was great. Thanks for enjoying it so much. That was great. Yeah, it feels odd, but we're still excited. Really excited about the rest of the series. We're still working on it. We're still writing voiceovers for episodes 5 and 6.
Oh, you are?
Yeah.
Oh.
It's nice because some of the ideas in that show are like come from things that Sam and I have talked to David and Robert for 12 years. For as long as we've been doing the show, we've had little bits that end up back in the show. And other bits like, do you want to play capitalism? We wrote feels like last week in the edit. So it's
line of the
this
episode.
weird mixture of ancient history and brand new jokes.
Yeah. So the obviously it's been 3 years nearly since we've seen it on our screens, but it's 6 months narratively since Dobby going to New York and the end of the last series. Was it very important to you that they had to be still trapped in that amber? They had to stay exactly where they were. You couldn't do them 3 years down the line.
We could have done. I guess it felt like we left them in quite an interesting place. So we wanted to explore that because, when you drive them apart as much as we did last series, we want to tell the story of how they got back together, which is that episode, basically.
And it looked like you'd reshot the opening titles, had you?
No, they've just used clips from other bits. Yeah. I don't think we've reshot the titles since they made us go back to Croydon once.
Those titles are like,
that was bitter.
They're Series 6 titles.
Oh, Series 6. I was going to say, it looked like you haven't aged. I mean, you haven't, clearly.
Yeah, no, if they were still using the Series 1 titles, that
would be rough.
But obviously there's a huge continuity issue with 6 months, having to look like 6 months, but it being 3 years. I mean, you'd had a baby. You got back into shape really quickly.
You had to have a shave since your baby.
Yes. I think if we'd made it 3 years down the line, that would have been an odd way it would make the last series. The fact that the last series is going out 3 years after the penultimate series isn't sort of. It would be a shame if that was relevant to the show, really. I think it's the last series is more of the same show. It's not a sort of coda. It's not a sort of separate a few years later thing. It's more of the same thing, and that's why they've got to come back together again, because that's the situation. That's what it's a sitcom about. Those two men in that flat, and
I think that was for Sam and Jesse. That was quite an efficient 24.5 minutes of getting people back together in that flat. Clearly, the point of that episode was to get them back in the flat. And that was a really funny way of doing it.
Yeah. But it's very obviously it's very bittersweet, and you haven't finished making it completely yet, but it's was it tempting? Obviously your schedules were just so busy for 3 years, you were making Babylon and Fresh Meat, but was it tempting to kind of just keep pushing the date back that you started the last series, just because it's going to be so sad that it's going to finish?
No, it was mainly busyness. We weren't sort of trying to postpone it. But we were very keen to try and make this as good a series as we could. We started writing it sort of over a year ago, didn't we? Trying to sort of give ourselves enough time to do it justice, because we want to go out with a bang rather than a whimper, basically.
But it's even just in 3 years, things have changed so much culturally. Were you kind of aware when you were writing it that sort of the world certainly since Peep Show started, kids have been conceived, born, and taken their 11 pluses. It's kind of, it's such a different world now. But you're essentially still trying to make the same point in the same situation. Is it difficult to kind of keep that going 10 years, 12 years down the line?
Yeah, this is obviously I think everyone would agree, it's a very post-Arab Spring episode. I don't think you could imagine that going. It's inconceivable.
The Guardian thanks you.
So, I think you feel that in the fabric of the piece, Julia. Somewhat. A critic like yourself would see that immediately.
Spotted it straight away.
This is not much of a spoiler, but in episode 2, Mark does keep saying, if you've got nothing to hide, you've got nothing. What is it? If you've got nothing to hide, you've got nothing to fear. Which we've been hearing a lot of this week. But obviously, by the time episode 2 goes out, that'll look Like, you know, that was written for a bad topical comedy that is 3 weeks out of date.
It's not a bad topical comedy, it's a brilliant, timeless comedy. The two are very easy to confuse.
Sorry, there's going to be some coughing. We're trying to shield our microphones.
Julia's got
We've
a cough.
Sorry,
Yeah.
I've got a
She's
cough.
just a human.
I wanted to take you back to the very, very, very beginning of Peep Show because it's really interesting, especially now. You invented Gogglebox because Peep Show kind of... Well, can you explain what I mean by that?
Yes, we didn't invent Gogglebox. It's important to say that.
They did, and they're very upset.
In case any lawyers are in the room. The original idea of
There are
the show-
definitely lawyers in the room. Look, it's a Guardian live event.
Is it worth just interjecting that although we'd be pleased if we
The
could
tweeting.
tweet,
Yeah.
it'd be nice.
Don't.
It'd be nice not to reveal. I guess there isn't that many plot points, but
No spoilers.
Yeah.
Nothing
a
about
few
sleeping bag.
spoilers
Yeah.
Save the
possible.
sleeping bag. That's like the...
Yeah, and also if you hated it, keep it to yourself. Down to tweet
Yeah.
that. But
Yeah,
yeah,
no, but
sorry.
back to the kind of
Sorry.
original format. The kind
Yeah.
of, when it was in development, it wasn't this at all, was
no,
it?
the first idea, the germ of the show was the producer Andrew Connor came to us and said, well, I want to do a Beavis and Butthead style show with two guys talking over TV clips. And Mission and Webb, the guys Channel 4 want to do it. We already knew them and worked with them, so...
We were cheaper than animation at that point.
Yeah.
So the brief was to come up with like another half of the show that would fit in with their clips. So the pilot we shot back in 2002, was it? Or one or whatever, was sort of a lot of clips, a lot of chatting over TV clips, as well as the sitcom that we sort of now know as the show.
I'd like to see that. I bet it's almost exactly like Gogglebox, but slightly funnier.
Well, we couldn't put it on YouTube or anything because there's lots of songs and things and clips we've got aren't
Is
clearable.
it a
Like, for
rights
example,
issue?
it was the episode where Mark leaves that phone message for Sophie saying "I like you." The song we originally used was "I just called to say I like you," but Stevie Wonder wouldn't let us use it. So we had to change-
Seriously?
Yeah. So
Right,
it
no
ca-
one buy his records. But there's something about, I mean, you know, lots of sitcoms have been based around is it unlikable, dislikable, the odd couple, and both of your characters obviously are, you know, they're arseholes, they're not very
Yeah.
nice people.
Oh God, yeah.
And, you know, cowardly and self-obsessed and, you know, why do we, it seems to be a specifically British thing, why do we like sitcoms about idiots and there's unpleasant idiots about?
Because nice people aren't very funny.
No.
I mean, their thing is that their redeeming thing, I think, that why we identify with them at all is that they feel like they're in the wrong place at the wrong time, and they always think that someone else is in the mainstream and they've all got it right, and we're just in our weird peripheral puddle, and I think everybody feels like that sometimes. But the challenge is definitely, you're right, that on paper these two men are shits, and so it's a question of making them, you know, watchable enough that you want to keep watching them, even though they're behaving extremely badly. It's men behaving badly. But
Shit, it
they've been to university.
The lawyers throughout the whole audience.
That's going to be quoted again and again now. Bad luck.
It's nothing of the kind. It's nothing of the kind.
But in terms of the, I mean, it's very much, it's like a lot of, Fab is very similar. They kind of do all the awful things that you daren't ever do. So watching them is pleasurable. It's sort of cathartic in a way, I suppose. But in terms of when you're actually doing the show and all the way through, it always says additional material by you guys. Obviously, you write it. How does that actually work?
Well, we do a bunch of plotting, and then we invite Dave and Rob to come and hear our sort of, like, this is what we think the shape of the series is. And so we get quite a lot of input at that point of, like, you know, big, if there's anything big that concerns them, like, oh, I'm not sure Jeremy or Mark would do that. It's not a huge, you don't hugely stick your oar in.
I don't think we've ever, I can't remember a time we sit there with our big cigars going, no, my character wouldn't do that.
So they sit silently with their big cigars. But we do have a lot of fun at that point, and so we get ideas at that point, and then after the read-throughs a bit too.
But in terms of filming, is it locked? It's once
It's
you start
not.
shooting?
It's largely like it's not.
Yeah.
I mean, when we do read-throughs and things, there's room for suggestions and changes and that sort of thing. When you're actually filming, it's a filming things POV is a stupid way to film things. It's much harder to do than a normal way of filming. And yes, I mean, it could not be clearer to me after all these years why no other program is filmed like that. But as a result, you sort of are locked into the script. You can't cut any corners in the filming of it. So you've got to. The scene you start the day filming has to be the same scene as the one you finished. So there's no use when you've got one shot to go thinking, oh, wouldn't it be funny if he said this? It's too late.
And also, even with a conventionally filmed thing, and even with a sketch show, sometimes, you know, you get bored with your own jokes, and you go, and you throw something different in, and the crew laugh, and you think, oh, good, let's do that instead. And actually, no, just remember why you thought it was funny in the first place, and even though you've done 8 takes of it, and you just have to, you know, remember why you thought it was back your own confidence, really.
Yeah, it worries me when things start changing too much on set, because everyone on set is overtired, so that they're not thinking as clearly as when no, exactly.
No.
And you can absolutely sort of go, oh look, there's a hilarious beach ball, let's get that in. And then you sort of go, it doesn't quite work with the story. Now we're in the edit. Is there any way of cutting around the beach ball? No, it's in every shot.
But just in terms of, because I know in the early days there was some filming with there were helmets, right?
Yeah,
with sort of forehead-mounted cameras. Has that petered out altogether, or is it something you just decided didn't really work?
It was basically, we lost the helmet cams because the cameras weren't good quality enough, and now it's mostly shot with a sort of handheld camera and a brilliant camera operator.
Do you use the same crew again and again, because they obviously sort of have your style?
We try to. Nick
Martin, who's a camera operator, who's crucial, and Becky Martin has done literally her 6th series, and so she knows how to do it very well, and she's a key collaborator. You know, we trust her very much on set and very much in the edit, and we couldn't do it without her.
Yeah.
Nick's an excellent height as well.
He's a very good height. He has to put a thing on his shoulder to be super hands, because Matt King's bit taller than me and David.
Okay.
But the low point with the helmet cams that we used quite a lot in series 1 was a scene where we were driving around Croydon, and I was driving. There was no low light. It's like sometimes when you do a driving scene, the car is on a truck and the truck is driving and you're just pretending. But this was me driving a car with the helmet cam on, doing my lines and filming David, and then the note came back. You know, after 15 minutes of doing this round and round Croydon, you keep not quite catching David because on his line you keep looking forward instead of at David. It's probably because I'm trying to drive the fucking car and I'm sort of. So that was yes. The early budget days.
And before also you realised that you could go like this with the hat.
Yeah. Which would have been, like, do it twice, once like that, and once like that, and then the magic of cutting. But nobody thought of that. Not me.
We have broken a couple of cameramen. One camera guy on Series 2 was saying to me at one point, I can't do this. I don't know what I'm doing. I was like, if you tell the writer that, we're really in trouble. Basically, yeah.
Seriously, so it's quite demanding for some people who are disciplined.
We've never had the first AD twice, have we?
No.
First assistant director. We get through them.
Yeah.
They all burn out.
Oh my God. Notorious in the TV industry. Obviously, you guys being in the show has obviously made you wildly famous now. And you meet people on the street, I imagine, quite a lot. And I guess with Peep Show's been off the screens for 3 years, maybe this hasn't happened much in the intervening time, but what's the thing, what's the John Cleese walk or the David Brent dance that when do people see you and go, do the thing, or you do not get that kind of that fan?
I was thinking,
Can you all do it? 1, 2, 3!
Fucking hell, that's terrifying. Christ.
it's like Radio Gaga. All we hear is. That's you don't get that reference, most of you.
Is there anything you'd like them to do? No.
People
It
occasionally
ought to be
shout.
that, but it doesn't really happen.
No.
I've had people shout clean shirt.
There's a T-shirt down the front saying, I'm with Clean Shirt. Well done, good work, that one. Yeah. But so nothing.
No, apart that, I think that's our only catchphrase, really, and it's sparingly used, thank God.
And it was good to use it, I think, to jog our memories, to use it in episode 1 of this series. It just sort of, I think the faithful appreciated it.
Which?
They're using the LD brothers,
good,
using that.
Good.
I'm
Is
not
it in
doing
episode 1?
Yeah.
Did we just...
Yeah,
oh,
no,
right.
you mentioned, you brought them back in, you mentioned that the LD brothers trump the...
Oh, LD Brothers, okay.
Yeah.
Brown
Oh,
brothers,
yeah,
yeah.
the Boeing, okay, yeah.
Yeah, exactly. You have the slightly, I suppose almost in commercial terms, the dubious pleasure of having created a cult show, like a hugely successful, but nevertheless a cult show. Is that something, does that annoy you, or are you just delighted that the people who love it as much as they do?
The latter, because and I think the people who like the show are sort of comedy fans like we were before we were into comedy.
And
I
also
think,
very good looking.
I mean, and the way that people ardently get into a show that they really like is what I think
It's
the
pleasing.
thing we would have aspired to when we started making it.
And it's happened a couple of times, well, a lot of times with a successful cult British show, especially the very idiosyncratically British ones, like the IT Crowd and stuff. They've tried to make Peep Show America, haven't they?
There's been
And in
a couple
fact, you've been
pilots.
sort of involved as well.
Not so much.
Sort of. And they're possibly trying to do it again. Why do you think they can't quite get it right over there?
I think they could. It's just every shows are ones that work are rare, and you need to get everything working together. The people who are writing it, brilliant casting, great director and editing, and you need everything to sort of come together. And usually it doesn't anywhere, and sometimes it does with a format that's been changed, like it did with the American Office. And usually it doesn't, and I think they could do it again. I think there's lots of Americans who like great comedy. Maybe there's something about Mark and Jeremy not being at all successful in their lives. People say Americans like success. I don't know. But
Is it too British, Sam? Is it just that
Well,
the way we socially interact doesn't quite match them, and that's why
trying
it
to
doesn't-
imagine the American mission on Webb and failing, because they are. We wrote the parts for them.
Yeah,
So that's the challenge, How
Yeah.
do you recast that? I mean, I guess it's possible, but it's not easy.
yeah. So now it's kind of all. I mean, when do you actually finish? When's the edit, everything, the voiceover
Couple
finish?
of weeks.
How do you think you're going to feel when it really is the end? Then when the circus is all gone and
I think it's a bit like grief in that now it's all
Yeah.
quite exciting, and we're all seeing each other a lot at the Peep Show funerals. And, but when I think I will be really sad when it's over.
Yeah.
I will.
yeah.
I'll be less sad if it's a good series. That's what we're mostly focusing on, making it good.
Yes, I suppose you're still there, aren't you?
Yeah.
I think the reception tonight may indicate that.
These guys are all drunken lawyers, so
Is anyone here not a drunk lawyer? No, none of them.
So the flat,
Mark's flat is a very important kind of almost character in the sitcom, and the fact that you always end up back there, it's kind of the trap, the prison that keeps you there. But I understand it's gone. It's been burned, smashed, dismantled.
That was the saddest bit about filming that series. We normally do there's a couple of weeks in the middle of the shoot where we do all the flat stuff on a set, and usually you know that it's going into storage, and this time we knew it was not. So that was sad when we finished that. I think it's been recycled to use in a different comedy.
Well, there may be some
As it should
people
be.
who watch mainly for the set. And they should know that it will be appearing in another sitcom. I think
well,
called
do
Witless.
keep us informed.
Do we know what it
Is
is?
it not called
Oh,
Witless?
there is a
Witless.
real
Witless.
So if you really love the
Okay.
set,
That's
it'll
a
come
gift for
round
the
again.
critics, isn't it?
Watch out for that piece of wood.
What track is it on?
Totally repainted and the doors moved.
Yeah, I should point out at this point that the actual flat, which was a real flat for the first
Yeah.
two series, that is still there in
Yeah.
Croydon, and there'll be someone living in it, if you can imagine anything. If you can imagine something.
Probably don't watch Peep Show.
Yeah.
Probably not.
It would be upsetting, I suppose, if you sort of suddenly realised you were living, if you watch television, you go, that's here. God.
I read a thing, I sent a press release the other day about the real-time value of sitcom, like London properties that appeared in sitcoms. And apparently Mark's investment relatively to the rest of the sitcom universe was appalling. And you only made 60 grand, sorry.
Mark did.
Yeah, apparently.
That's so typical. That he can't even ride the London property wave properly.
That's very pleasing.
Yeah, no, it's well
No, it's
chosen,
good.
I think.
Yeah.
Well chosen.
Did any of you take anything from the set just to,
I think everyone took something.
what did you
Yeah,
take?
but Matt
Yes.
King, who plays Superhands,
He took
took the
everything.
sofa.
He needed a sofa.
Yeah.
And they were going,
Yeah.
we don't need this sofa anymore. the creamy elephant, the big white sofa. And he got a man with a van to turn up. And he, men with van. It was one man with a van. And he took the sofa. I took the Jeremy's poetry exercise book. That contains, amongst other things, that person who is in the art department that series had scribbled, "Fuck you, Bush." You weren't even properly elected, Bush. Are you happy now, Bush? Etc. So that's what I've got. I might open it on that page and frame it, or just probably more in keeping with the show, just leave it lying around in the room I laughably call my study.
And what about you? Did you take
I have a picture from the wall of Mark's bedroom of a vintage car.
That's it.
That's it. Yeah, the thing I think everyone wanted, and I think that Becky Martin, the director, took, was the biscuit, the sort of
yeah, the
horse biscuit tin from on top of. Oh, you've
I
got
took
it.
that, I'm afraid.
Did you?
Yeah.
What is
Another way out of here.
Yeah. No, it makes you put batteries in it, and it
you
makes
tip it
a
up and it goes,
noise of a horse. You never. I don't think
Endless
that.
fun.
Yeah.
What about you guys? What did you?
I got Jeremy's bongo
Nice.
and Mark's FDR doll.
And Jesse, what about you?
I've got the cookie
Just a
jar,
tin.
which sounds like quite a sore
Which
point.
there's going to be a fight afterwards. Was it just that, or?
No, I got a Genghis Khan as well in the same range.
Nice, very nice. And obviously the Peep show, and I understand most of the supporting cast, you say, are coming back for this series. So we know Olivia Colman's coming back because the lovely pictures of her crying, and obviously Superhands and various others. Do you have? I mean, it's hard to pick favourites. Do you have favourite incidental or supporting or sort of characters that aren't in every episode? What's your favourite? Could you pick one?
I could.
Okay, great. Let's start with you.
I'd pick Superhands. I guess
Yeah.
because he's in 5 out of 6 episodes, and he's
Yeah.
in the most episodes, so I think he gets the prize. And he's just a joy to write for. Matt's so brilliant.
Where did he come from? Because you didn't write it for Matt, did you? Or?
No. Originally, we
Superhands?
had Danny Dyer in mind.
Oh my God! Whole different show.
Blimey.
I've said this before. It's in the public record.
It is now.
That
Is
would
it
have
in the
been a
public-
different experience making that show.
Is it in the public record who auditioned for
Yeah,
Superhands?
Russell Brand auditioned for that part also.
Sorry.
But Matt is Superhands and always will be.
Yeah.
And is quite brilliant.
But in terms of the two of you, I don't see Superhands in either of you. So is he
Really?
somewhere? I mean, you obviously with your drug habit and your, But no. But how?
I think we thought of a guy who would make up his own nickname, a kind of sort of really wide and kind of worrying, but not really quite as There's that episode where Jeremy goes and works with him in a recording studio, and he's actually really good at getting the lattes and getting the right skim milk. So he's kind of, we always knew there was a bit of a fake level to him as well.
Yeah.
The very first idea for him was Dutch, right? That's why he's called that. And we did audition
Right.
a Dutch guy,
Right.
and then it was sort of like, well, we don't want to go Dutch. That's silly. So let's just go Matt King.
Okay. And favourite character? He's nicked the best one, I think. Or no, or Johnson. Johnson's mine.
I'll take Johnson. I don't. Yeah, I mean,
Yeah.
it feels invidious to.
No, it doesn't. They're not here. They don't care.
Well,
Tell us.
I think some people are here, but no, I couldn't.
You couldn't pick one.
What about you guys? Who
Should
was the
we
most
go
fun?
for one of the one episode ones?
Yeah, like someone who's fun to do a scene with.
There's Gog. Gog was a lot of fun, and there was the character played by Steve Edge, who turned out to be a Nazi.
Yes, yeah.
Mark makes a friend. Who was
Yeah.
it? Darren.
Yeah.
Darren. And Steve Edge,
Who
brilliant
plays the
performance.
core anglaise.
That's right. Yeah. Plays the core anglaise, and it turns out it's all joshing, and then he turns out to be thrillingly right wing.
Yeah.
And of course, Mark is broken-hearted then. And Mark has to make this really tortured speech about, I mean, I have a dream, and that's all fair enough, isn't it? It's got the limits of Mark's PC.
Yeah.
It's very funny.
Yeah.
Obviously we saw that the aforementioned, you know, that some of the tearful pictures from the set as you were coming to the end of shooting. Is genuinely, you're going to be sad to see this go, aren't you? You'll never, well, unless there's a film.
I'm looking for twitches.
Or a musical.
Or a musical, which I think would work brilliantly. You know, there'll be a good old gap before you get to be these boys again, if you ever do.
Yeah.
So, you know, what are you going to miss the most about them, or about the experience?
Well, I mean, I don't know. I mean, it won't be the early mornings.
Nothing.
It won't.
You're
It
gonna
won't
say
be that.
nothing,
No, I'm
aren't
not. No, I'm not going to say nothing because it's going to be very weird. It's been.
I mean, the weird thing is,
yeah.
on the one, sorry, I'm interrupting.
No, well, I wasn't quite sure what I was going to say.
Good.
But
I think it's because we
it would definitely have been something. I wasn't just going to peter out.
I think I sensed that you were going to talk until you found a point.
Exactly. But as you know, I can't just think of it while I'm not talking.
No, that would be ridiculous. Because we dress identically, that's why I know you so well. Basically, now I've lost my point. Oh, yeah. Well, we haven't done it for 3 years anyway, so we've sort of been living in a no Peep Show world for a while, and it's not that bad.
But you knew
we knew it was coming back, and on the other hand, we still haven't finished. As Sam just said, we still haven't done the voiceovers for episode 5 and 6. So, like you say, we're going to the funerals, but we haven't really suffered the loss yet. So it'll
You're
be.
not at acceptance.
We're not. I'm fully
It's like
in denial.
we're still on holiday.
Yeah.
You know, we've still got dinner on the last night. So you know, we're not start. We refuse to start packing.
That's cheerier than the funeral metaphor, really.
And in fact, it's sort of in between. It's a sitcom ending. It's more serious than the end of a holiday, but not as serious as a person dying. So
Depends who died.
yeah, some people die. Doesn't matter a shit.
Yeah, so it's difficult to say, is what I think we're groping towards.
But no, the thing is that you. I mean, we've loved doing this show. We're very proud of it. It's the biggest part of our career, and it probably always will be. And that's we're very proud of it. But the other thing that makes it really weird coming to the end of it is it's been 12 years, and we can't think about the show without also thinking about the 12 years, and you think about that's a big section of our time alive, and you think about life and aging and the human condition in a much bigger way than you mean to just with the end of a sitcom. I'm going to die. Can you believe it?
I can't.
It's like a live episode.
A live episode. We could do a live episode.
Well, actually,
it's still this.
Fucking hell, why don't we just do it live all
It's
this
not
time?
over. There's still the ice cream on the way to the
Save all
airport.
of that writing rehearsing.
Maybe if we carry on making the show, you won't die.
Yeah, that's true. Oh, that is true. It's immortality through space.
worth a try.
Really.
Let's do it. That's what's going to happen.
Like flatliners. Obviously, people will always ask you about, will there be a film? It's like the end of Downton Abbey. People can't accept the end. It has to be, but no, it's not dead, is it? But I mean, there is obviously potential. I'm assuming you've kind of said there's no happy endings and no one dies. So we know these characters will still exist somewhere. Will there be a kind of whatever happened to the Peep Show lads when they're old and where will they be? 10 years' time? What are Mark and Jeremy doing? Like, where are they?
Well, we've said that we'd like to think about that if Dave and Rob are available and up for it in that
Oh,
sort
they'll
of
be
time.
available.
And alive.
And not dead.
I didn't know that about Dave.
They're going to die.
Don't die.
Yeah, we'd be up for
Trying
it.
not to. Yeah. But
But
no,
where-
yes, we'd love. I think we'd love to
Yeah,
sort
definitely.
of see what they were doing in.
Well, actually,
10
I
years'
want to
time
ask
or
you two,
something.
what do you imagine maybe would have happened, considering the cyclical nature of their despair, and they can't seem to escape it? Where will they be in 10 years?
Can't help thinking they've got to be in the same flat doing the same thing. But maybe not. I don't know.
Yeah, I don't know. It's very difficult to. That's one of the reasons I think that the show. It's right that the show's ending. Really, it's about men in their 20s, early 30s, post-university, and it's a different situation when they're in their 40s. And
It was getting too sad.
yeah, but I think I think if Mark doesn't, if nothing, if Mark's career doesn't take off in some tedious direction that he wants, he might cash in his, albeit not brilliant investment in London property equity, and sort of go and live somewhere where the property's cheaper on the change.
I can't see him staying in London.
I would like to see them in a half-built hotel in Mallorca with super hands running the kitchen. Going, oh no, blooding thing, blooding.
So if it comes back, it has to
Carry
come
on
back
holiday.
as a totally different genre.
Exactly. POV,
Yeah.
carry on holiday.
Studio audience, and, crazy mad stuff's happening,
People clap when we come in,
Yeah.
like the Fonz. Great.
I'm in. I'd like to see that. I would. I think everyone else here would too. But in terms of the world of Peep Show, it's a very that sort of tone you set early on. It's kind of, I think other sitcoms have probably tried to borrow from it a little bit, but I think it coming back has sort of reminded me how distinctive it is. And in terms of other writers, there are very few. Is it two? There are
Three.
There are
Three.
three writers you've ever kind of let take the reins. In fact, I think one of them is in here tonight.
John Brown.
John Brown wrote some fresh meat as well. He's a very clever man. Clap him. But also Simon Blackwell and
Tom Basden.
Tom Basden. How did you identify that they could get the voice, that they would know how to take these
They're
characters?
just brilliant writers, and we'd worked with them all and knew how good they were, and so it wasn't hard to pick those three. They're all brilliant, really.
But what's the kind of conversation like when you sit down with them and say, take our babies? How do you kind of describe to them what you want them to do, or do you just trust them?
We have quite a, as I said, when we tell David and Rob what we think the shape of the series is, we have quite a clear idea. So then we say, and to John, look, there's a spot here in the arc of the series, and so they need to end up roughly here, and this is where they start out, and these are some areas, and then could you come up with a plot that would fit into that jigsaw puzzle?
But the voice is just entirely down to them.
The voice of writing.
As in,
David and Rob?
it's almost a job of kind of copying house style, isn't it? But it's sort of,
I mean,
it's more than that.
But I think once you've got people to write for, and the characters, it's turns out that if you have really good writers, they can do it.
Yeah.
Sadly.
Almost as well as you, if not. No, I won't say better, but no, they're very good. But Simon Blackwell, talking of him, you're going to clam up now. But what can you tell us anything about the show you're doing with him? Because your next sort of piloty project together, as you two, is with Simon Blackwell, who wrote Veep and The Thick of It and is a genius. What is it, and can you say anything about it?
Well, it's a sitcom.
Da.
I think the two things about it are that it's a sitcom and it's not definitely going on television.
Okay.
Yeah.
So
the more we kind of talk about this sitcom like it exists, the more you sort of think, but if Channel 4 hear that we're talking about this sitcom that exists, they might go, well, that's all very fucking well. We haven't commissioned a fucking sitcom.
Yeah.
So, there's a pilot script, which is very good.
Okay.
And
No hints
they
at all
they
about
may or may not make a pilot, and they may or
Run
may
an
not
antique
do
shop.
it. Oh no,
They're
I'm not.
I mean,
we're
I
not
think
going to
they're-
say what the premise
No,
is.
they're both aliens. No, they're not. They're firemen. One of them's a fireman, the other one's no.
Gay,
Say anything
female,
about
it.
Geordies.
But no, we sort of it's that awkward thing. We don't know if it'll happen. We hope it does.
So we don't want to go on about it.
But is that, and obviously that's one thing, obviously he's writing and you're hoping will happen. What else are you two up to next?
Well, we started writing. We started writing a web series.
Oh yeah.
One B, but also two Bs.
It's going back a bit.
Yeah, but we haven't finished writing
That
that.
fizzled out.
Yeah.
I mean, we're taking an artistic pause.
Yeah.
Well, you're going to be doing bits and bob. You're in.
Yeah, I'm playing Shakespeare in a sitcom about
that's
Shakespeare.
Right. This is Ben
yeah.
Elton's new
Yeah,
thing.
that's filming in the new year.
Oh, exciting! And that's a series.
That's
happening.
that's happening and is
And I'm
a
in-
studio sitcom.
I'm in Ab Fab the movie, playing Safi's boyfriend. Her baffled detective inspector boyfriend.
That's amazing.
So I'm a policeman.
And have you filmed that yet?
We're doing it now.
How is that?
It's weird because I'm the sort of number 7 on the call sheet, which is outrageous. Which is like, so it just means which means I'm not in it much.
Did you see a trailer?
Which basically means great trailer.
Oh, no, great.
Yeah, great, much better than Peep Show. It's a movie. Everyone gets very excited. But I've done a few days, and I'll do some more next week, and then I don't know when it finishes, but yeah, that'll be out next year. And I'm writing a book. But apart from
You're
that,
writing a book.
I'm writing a proposal for a book.
What's the, yeah,
It's
no, I'm
late.
writing a book as well. What's your book?
It's a funny memoir about masculinity, about how I wasn't very good at being a boy.
I like the sound of it.
And I thought I'd finished the proposal, 10,000 words. I'm really putting some effort in.
The proposal
I
is
gave
10,000
it
words.
to my literary agent, and he said, if you make this 15% funnier, we'll get more money. Which is all very fucking well. But 15% funnier. I mean, what a note to give. Every 15 words is trifle.
The question is, will you get 15% more money?
I think
15% funny.
Well,
or
I hope what he meant was there would be a disproportionate.
you get like
raise-
50% more money.
50%.
For, yeah.
I don't know. Depends where we start. Anyway, that is my by no means. I'm sorry, why I'm emphasising the money aspect of it. It's a very intimate and passionate project, but which I've got to make funny for cash.
Yeah. Well, we're going to throw open to some audience questions. I'm sure you're all like really keen to ask them stuff, but I just wanted to find out what you two are doing next before. You've been very quiet.
I've got nothing to tell you. I've got some things that are in development.
You
but
can't speak about
nothing
any of
really
it.
I can announce.
And are you carrying on together, having a little break, and are you
Well,
go
we'll
off and
see
do
how it goes.
things?
No, yeah, we are.
Right.
We just haven't been writing anything else than this for about a year. Apart from Fresh Meat, which is out
Right.
next year. Fresh Meat,
Oh yes, when is it in
Don't know.
the new year? Okay,
but it will be out. We have filmed it. It does exist.
good. That's a good thing to take home. Let's thank Rob, David, Sam, and Jessie very much with a clap, and then there will be some people moving among you in the usual fashion with microphones, if they're around. I can't really see. But
Or
if
just
you
yell.
have a question, please shove your hand in the air, wave it around, and they will come to you. Any questions now? This young man down the front here is looking nervous, but I think he should open things up.
Hello,
Hello.
Hi.
Hello.
Hi.
good evening. I'm really curious to know, in the episode where you have like the New Year's Eve episode, what was going on in Super Hans' apartment? That was so horrific that it put him on his arse.
Well, I mean, of course, we did, of course, film that, but then it was too horrible to show
Yeah.
on television. Really,
Too
really
many laws
bad.
were broken.
Yeah. No, it's nothing, is it?
Well,
It's not, that's not the whole point. The whole point is it's the worst thing you could possibly
I
imagine.
just was curious to know what the worst thing would be in your guys' opinions.
I'm not saying. If anyone who can't imagine something too bad to actually say is an unimaginative person.
Okay, fair enough.
Is that it? The code of silence.
Legs
you
cut
gonna
off
say?
as usual by David Mitchell. I can't really follow that. No, it's not allowed. He said we can't say.
Oh yeah, no, that's
It'd be
true.
wrong.
If you're thinking of that, the worst thing,
Exactly.
you wouldn't say that. Not the worst thing. What you'd say is like something a few stages, the civilized side of the
Yeah.
worst thing.
We could really bring everyone down if we said the
The
worst thing.
worst
All right, I
thing.
won't say that.
The worst thing might not be very funny.
I won't say that.
Yeah.
All right, all right. They're not
I
gonna
couldn't
tell
say
you
the
answer,
third
sorry.
worst thing.
Next question, please. Let's see. Yes, that chap in the middle there is about 3 rows in the back.
What were you eating that was supposed to be a dog on that boat? Turkey. It was turkey.
But it had hairs.
Yes, lovingly put on by the art department. I don't know what the hairs were. I'm hoping just bits of, I don't know.
Oh, turkey
straight
hair roll.
cotton. Yeah, no, it was a big turkey leg.
It did. I think in one of the interviews you did, was it Shortlist magazine, someone did a kind of top 10 moments, memorable moments,
Yeah.
and the audience did vote for eating mummy.
Yeah, it's difficult. I mean, there are so many great bits, but it's pretty memorable, isn't it? Yeah.
Yeah. Boundary
Fair
pushing.
dues. I'm not going to argue with them. yeah.
Whose idea was it to call the dog Mummy, by the way?
Yours, because you had a cat called Mummy.
You
Correct.
had a cat called Mummy.
My family had a cat, yeah, 'cause it had a lot of
Okay.
kittens. Yeah.
Okay.
But slutty mummy. Easy tiger.
Someone on the front row just said naughty, slutty Mummy. Okay, so next question. Who has a microphone?
Easy Tiger would also be a good name for a promiscuous cat.
Okay, if you have a microphone, just wave it at me. Brilliant. Okay, you next. And then, sir, you at the back who just had your hand up, you're next. Okay, cool. Okay, yes, what's your question?
Hi everyone. Not so much a question, but David, can you call me a piss kidney, please?
Can I call you a what?
Can you just call me a piss kidney?
Piss kitten?
Piss
No,
kidney.
no, piss kidney.
Piss kidney, of course. Yes.
Yeah, everyone gets on it.
I only said that once years ago. And so
That's fine.
Yeah, you piss kidney. Do you think I could get work in Panto just doing that? Go on at the beginning of the second half, say piss kidney.
Piss kidney.
Yeah, it could become a tradition like buttons.
I'd like to hear that question on Question Time.
In fact, they used to film Question Time in this theatre.
Okay.
Yeah, sure. Okay, yes, gentleman at the back with a beard. What's your question?
Hi, yes. First of all, I want to say you guys are alive and well in Canada.
Thank you.
And my question is, when you guys started the first season, did you imagine it would go on this long, for 12 years?
Yes.
I mean, you outlasted Seinfeld in runtime.
No, I think we hoped it would go on for a long time. We definitely wanted to go on for a long time. But I think if we weren't ever.
Man, I think me and Sam had worked on sitcoms that were pulled during the run. Like, they didn't even make it to the end of not all the episodes that were filmed went out. So we were really sweating. I mean, I remember, because this is just the time when people start previewing the show, I remember sweating about what the Guardian Guide would say about the first episode. And
Were you at the Guardian Guide then?
I probably was, but I don't think I.
You weren't allowed to review things.
No.
So it would have been.
Yeah.
If someone
It
had
was
said you were
very
going to do 9 series and be interviewed in front of lots of people who would be able to quote
Quote
bits and wear
Piss
T-shirts,
Kidney
it would be
from one
like,
episode.
you fuck off.
What are you smoking? Yeah.
It was I mean, now wildest dreams.
It's gone very well. Well done, everyone.
Ultimately, you don't get a show like Peep Show coming from a group of people who would be that optimistic about shows. It would be people who start a show thinking it'll go to 9 series make very different sorts of shows.
It would have been called Shit Yes.
It's not a bad title, actually.
Okay, who has
Still
another
time.
question? If you have a microphone, can you wave it at me? It's quite hard to see. Who has a microphone already? Just because I don't want to pass people by who've just been given a microphone. Okay, go on.
Hello,
Okay,
good
you
evening.
next. Okay, yeah.
This is specifically to David, and I want a specific answer if possible, please. How much washing up do you think you could do without any washing up liquid?
I mean, I suppose the honest answer is an infinite amount, not very effective.
Thank you, that's it, I can go home now.
Are you happy with that? Good, excellent, okay. This young lady down here, I think, was next. Do wave wildly, because it's quite hard to see you out here.
Do it
so
or
just-
repeat it. Oh, you got it.
Oh, there it is.
Okay. So the characters were obviously written for you guys, and it's a kind of dynamic that is quite similar to a lot of the stuff that you guys have done that you've written for each other. Has being in Peep Show changed the way you've written for yourselves in like sketch shows and things?
I think you might be, I don't know if this is what you meant, but what springs to mind is when we had a sketch show, there was a sort of behind the scenes thing where we talked to each other sort of as ourselves, and we found ourselves falling into that sort of ready-made groove of the one who worries too much and the one who doesn't worry enough. And so we started doing sort of, I mean, it wasn't Mark and Jeremy, it was very much us, but that was the sort of dynamic. And so we definitely pinched that from Peep Show, I suppose. Did we? Is
No,
that fair?
because we already pinched you from yourself.
You'd pinched
so you're
us.
allowed. It'd be very unfair if you weren't allowed to use yourselves.
We stole us back briefly, and then the show got cancelled, and then you stole us back again. Now I don't know who I am.
You're Jeremy.
I'm Jeremy.
Okay, yes, please. What's your question?
Who's the worst at corpsing, and were there any scenes in particular that were really hard to get through because of that?
Patterson Joseph.
He plays Johnson.
He plays Johnson.
He is by far the worst at corpsing. And there was an occasion when it was a meeting, he was chairing a meeting in JLB.
I wasn't even there.
And there was quite a lot of people in the scene, which always means in Peep Show it's a nightmare to film. And he rightly decided it was funny when he said the word Frankfurt. If he went Frankfurt.
Frankfurt? It's in the middle of a normal English sentence. So you guys need to realise that I'm going to Frankfurt. It's just hilarious. But he just corpsed himself.
Yeah, having lit upon that idea, he was then unable to do it again without laughing. And then it sort of spread like a bacterial infection across the whole scene, because it got to the point where he would start thinking in advance that he was going to say Frankfurt or going to say it normally or not going to be able to, and that would start him laughing. And then there'd be the one where he's not laughing, he's keeping it together, and everyone else starts laughing because they're so nervous that he's going to start laughing. That was, that really, that got to the point.
Then everyone gets kind of angry.
Yeah, you got to people want to stop laughing, but they're just, we're running over.
We want to go home.
So that was, difficult. But also when in the attic, the upstairs bit of the church and the wedding.
Oh yeah, we both went. When Jeremy's ordered to piss himself. And they had a contraption that basically there was a water tank and a little tube that went down into this area, and then there was the art department guy going, and suddenly, and it was just it was the fact that it went everywhere. Also, the sound of liquid hitting a wooden floor was just so perfectly how you'd imagine someone pissing himself to sound like.
It was really realistic.
We both had a lot of trouble with that.
And that's, of course, that was very annoying to everyone, because at the point where they've sort of go on the pissing yourself contraption, if you don't get that take, then the trousers have to come off and be dried.
I have to be blown dry.
Yeah, and the whole that bit of the attic floor has to be dried with hair dryers.
Yeah.
So there's a sort of 45-minute reset on the pissing.
Took ages.
I'm surprised you went more method. I went to see Jane Horrocks play Lady Macbeth once, and she pissed herself on stage every night.
I've heard of that.
Admittedly, in filming, that's harder.
I've heard that about her.
Yeah. It's very moving.
Okay, another question.
Yes, sir.
I was going to ask a very similar question about whether you wrote characters and then find that you're writing Jeremy and Mark, but that was asked brilliantly, so I won't do that. When you're writing...
Let's let it go.
Could I just get a quick one in? When you were writing, so there's a lovely bit of dialogue in that episode with the sea bream and artichoke. How long do you sit trying different? Because the references for me are what are so brilliant, that they're so well done. How long do you sit there going, turbot avocado? And my last question is, should I suck Mummy's finger? Ignore that one, obviously, but answer to the other two would be great.
We do spend quite a long time figuring out sometimes the right words, don't we, in sentences, like Freiburg took ages to come up with. That
was brilliant, because I saw that episode where the glass took a long time to come from wherever it was.
I think you Wikipedia'd the glass producing cities.
Yeah, so it was.
I had a smug middle-class laugh at that point. Yeah.
I think that's often it's first draft and it's one of Samurai does it and it sticks, and then other ones are like, oh fuck, let's go through all the Bond films. What's funniest? Anna Twirl, is Octopussy a bit on the nose and a bit what you'd expect, or should it be Goldfinger? That's really what you'd want. And so we do sometimes obsess for a long time, and other times it feels right the first time. Yeah.
Yeah.
And other times we just Wikipedia it, where does glass come from in Germany?
The line about sea bream and artichokes is actually cut down in the edit. It was as originally scripted. It was we'd sit around watching Civilization with Kenneth Clark and eating complicated things like sea bream and artichoke, and which I mean sea bream and artichoke. But I slightly missed the phrase complicated things.
I think Mark Davis, the editor's here. Maybe we can just get him to go back and Mark could
just take him out back and beat the hell out of him.
Okay, next question. Sarah up there.
Do you guys have a proper story arc for the character of Pedge? Or, I mean, is he still working at HMV? Is his houseboat still moored at Rotterdam? Or just wondering.
We do learn something new about Pedge in episode 3, actually.
He does get a mention.
We don't meet Pedge.
We don't meet Pedge.
But
Sorry.
Pedge, what do we know? He was in Rotterdam, and he had a dog, didn't he? Because that was, because there was the phrase, who wanked off Pedge's dog?
Oh yeah, somebody wanked off Pedge's dog for a fiver.
And Pedge didn't.
Gog wanked off Pedge's dog for a fiver.
Yeah, Pedge didn't wank
If we
off
all stay here all
Pedge's
night, we
dog.
might be able to remember the whole series. In case it goes.
Of course, yes, because Gog was bullied by Jeremy
That's
and then
right,
started to bully him.
I've got a lot of tweets about Pedge over the years, like when's Pedge coming back? I get kind of annoyed because he's not really like a person. He's just a word. But I'm also quite pleased people care, but it's quite bizarre.
But it was Big Suze was like Pedge, was a reference. And then you decided to make her a real character. So, you know, who knows? Maybe
we did discuss meeting Pedge, didn't we, in this series when there was But we don't. But we do find out some interesting backstory.
We do.
Maybe when the show comes back, it'll centre around Pedge.
It'll be all about Pedge, the spin-off.
Yeah.
Well, if you're going to be in something written by Blackwell, we're going to write Hedge.
You're furious with them, aren't you? Okay, next question. Yes.
Most important question.
Oh,
What do
we're making
you
a t-shirt.
get? What?
How do you get that shirt so clean? I'm actually feeling that I had dinner earlier with Sam and a sort of a light patina of grease ended up on my shirt from an unwise placing of a fork. So I feel I'm not worthy of the clean shirt designation.
It wasn't your fork placement. It was the sizzling
it was a sort of
steak
sizzling steak thing. Yeah, it was.
Did they cook it at the table?
No, but they brought it sizzling to the table. It was slight activity food. It was a touch of Knickerbocker glory, you know, a bit of ooh, you're having that. But I think Mark just uses, you know, a decent detergent, you know. Probably supermarket own brand because he doesn't like to be fleeced.
I'm stunned that line has survived as long as it has. It's actually a convoluted. The little kid who was Sunny Muslim, the actor who played Series 1, came back in Series 5, I think.
By which time he had become an adult.
Yeah. The satisfying thing.
Okay, I'm not quite sure how much longer we've got, so if someone could let me know by the magic of telepathy. But next question.
Hello.
Yes, sir.
I just wanted, you mentioned film earlier, but I actually had two questions. So instead of being greedy, I'm going to try and link them in a really inappropriate sort of way, in a convoluted way. First of all, about the film, and then secondly, which of Jeremy's or Jez's massively inappropriate girlfriends was his favourite? And if a film were to come back, which one would she be in?
Who was my favourite or Jeremy's favourite?
Your favourite, sorry.
Try both. Can you do as
Yes.
you and then as Jeremy? Yeah.
Jeremy's kind of forgotten. I mean, Jeremy's in love with whoever he's in love with at this moment. I mean, he really lives. I mean, Nancy was a big deal. But then, oddly enough, I watched the first 2 episodes of Series 6 today with Elena, and Elena was terrific. Character. She also looked like a Bond girl. Yeah, he's always had these girlfriends who are much better looking than me. So it's in that beautiful sexist way that we have on television. But they've still been my age. There hasn't been a whole, you know, maybe when we come back when we're 50 or 60, we'll have girlfriends who are 25.
Yeah.
And that'll be more a traditional sitcom. My favourite, I mean, Sophie Winkleman, funny person and very funny character. Yeah, I've got 2 words for you. What was it? Mental posho. She really embodied that.
And the relationship she then developed with Johnson, I found.
Yes.
When they were in that house. And I think one of my favourite lines in the whole 9 series is Johnson shouting from upstairs, "Suze, where's the big scissors?"
Yeah.
That spoke of a certain sort of domestic hell.
When a line gets a reaction like that, are you ever tempted to say, yeah, that was mine? Or do you just take the
No, I
credit?
can't remember who wrote that, which
That's
is the great
probably
thing
best.
about partnership, is you do forget.
I find it it's very, very, it's just very nice to hear people who know the show so well. I can't say how nice it is. But I feel that Jeremy really loves Nancy.
Do you think? He hasn't referred to her ever again. I can't help noticing. She doesn't come up.
It's too painful. Too painful.
Yeah.
He talks about her a lot in the scenes that aren't televised.
That's right, yeah, in his sleep.
Yeah.
Okay.
Hi, I was just wondering, could you ask your BlackBerry back, but like a lady
You're
in a lady's
filming
voice?
the answering of your question.
Please.
Sorry, ask
Could you ask your BlackBerry back, but like a lady in a lady's
you want me
voice?
to? All right. You're actually turning me into basically a prostitute.
It's what we do generally,
yeah.
but there are normally bigger cameras.
I'm gonna do it.
I'm not going to judge you, man.
Yeah. Okay, can I have my BlackBerry back? I am so fucking sorted for Panto now.
Who's kidney?
Okay, we have time for 2 more questions, so raise your hands, fight each other, make them good ones. Who's next? Sir, you there in the monochrome shirt with your hand? No, now you're scratching your head. That's not very
You've
good.
got a guy there with a microphone, Julie.
Okay, sorry, person with the microphone.
You first, and then, sir, you're last. So be brilliant.
Thanks. Me and my wife really love all the sort of random things that Jez and Mark say to each other. So things like, there ain't no Quim likes to party like the Quim down in Darty. Someone's already mentioned the El Dude brothers, and there's many more. Just wondering, where do they come from? Are they just completely random, or are they references to something, or where do they come from?
They come from our stupid brains. It's a difficult question to answer.
They're written by us, and we think of them, so they're not totally random. But yeah, I guess it's a nice thing about Sam and I's writing partnership that we feel able to say stupid things and not have the other one go, well, that's stupid. That's really stupid. You've gone over the edge now.
What I like
in the pilot, as you were saying, we were all shitting ourselves, and we were nowhere, and this was a big shot, and we could really screw it up. And you called a major character Super Hands, which I just think is magnificent. And it was years before it was super. Is it Hands? Oh, okay, I've seen it written down now. It's Hands. All right, fine. And it's 2 words, not 1. And and it's just why? And it's just fucking great. Who else would do that? You're out of your minds.
Yeah, Matt King tells a funny story about a carol service he was at. I
remember this.
Yeah, he was at a carol service with his wife and children a few years ago. And, nice outdoor carol service, nice Christmassy event. Everyone's feeling very festive. And someone spots him and shouts, "Oi, Scissorhands!" And then the bloke next to the bloke that shouted, "Oi, Scissorhands," is mortified and goes, "It's Superhands, you cunt." Which in Matt's view, was more inappropriate to the atmosphere of the carol service than getting his character's name wrong. But he was so embarrassed.
Okay, yes, the gentleman in the monochrome shirt, follow that.
Oh, thank you. I was just wondering, I mean, Peep Show is one of the most kind of eminently quotable TV shows, and I know you said it kind of informs the way you act and you write. Do you ever find yourself, for example, telling someone off when they combine a metric and imperial system, or talking about water Lego for plumbing? Like, does that ever come up in your kind of everyday conversation? Any Peep Show lines?
Well, I don't think we say Peep Show lines, but unfortunately, I hear echoes of Mark's thoughts in my own head, and certainly some of the specific, fastidious worries he has are the sort of thing I also obsess over.
Like the euro?
Sorry?
Like the euro?
I don't actually obsess over the euro, but certainly, a lot. We've talked a lot about his big Radio 4 speech, as I call it, on the episode when everyone's been tripping and he's been pretending to be, and he sort of goes, it's all normal, I'm turning on Radio 4. It's only because of the miracle of consumer capitalism you're not all lying in a ditch with rotten teeth dying. Although that now sounds very pre-credit crunch, that sort of. But yes, no, I've never actually echoed his specific words or thoughts, but definitely there's definitely elements of my horrible brain in his, I think, even horribler brain.
And Rob, what about you?
I have no relationship with Jeremy's thoughts.
And I think on that note, we have to end it. Please show wild appreciation for
Thank you very much.